Hello, wonderful people. CJS 1100. I'm going to cover Olivia's Art Supply, which is Module 2 from Microsoft Excel, which is C15. All right. So this one is the solution or complete solution for Olivia's Art Supply. And I would like to emphasize a couple of things in this example, or should I say this solution sheet. So notice that in this column, all the employee names are in here. There's also a cell which is A13. That is for the total. You have your email address in here. You have your dependents for column C. You have your hours worked. So for this, be very careful on the instruction on your book. For this to happen, when you're, let's say for example, um, on this section. I'm just going to try doing that so you can see hours. And when you pressed Alt Enter, that gives you, I don't know if you noticed that, that allows you to move the cell on the second one, actually not on the second cell, but still within that cell worked. So if I press enter, look at that. It did not allow that worked on another cell, but it gave you that spacing to be able to fit those two words. Okay, so what did I do again? I type hours. Then after I type hours, should I say, I press Alt on the keyboard and enter. So let me do that again. I'm going to delete that. I'm going to type hours. I did not press enter yet, okay? But instead, I'm going to press Alt in my keyboard and enter. That allows you to have that extra line without going into another cell, okay? So some of you are like trying to figure out how you will be able to fit those instead of like moving the column, all right? So I am going to remove that. We don't really need that on column L, but that's what happened in D3 for the hours work. You have your hourly pay rate, you have your gross pay, your federal tax, state tax, tax percent, net pay, and hire date. All right. So I just want to make sure that your work on your C15 is close into the solution that I did way back. And notice that on the bottom in here, you would notice that there are functions being used for this C15. Specifically, we have summation or sum. We also have a function which is max or determining the highest value in a column or in a row. We also have lowest, which is from the function min or minimum to determine which one is the lowest value. Average is the average of the selected cells. So we're going to take it one by one. From the hours work that are given, the format of this one is on a 2 decimal place. You can increase, you can decrease that, but please follow the instruction from your book on how many places it's supposed to be. So from this is exactly the solution that you're going to have for C15. There you go. I have 64.25 until June Xiao, which is the last employee. I have 68.00 for the hours work. Now, for you to be able to get this answer, which is getting the sum, this one is equal sign sum D4 colon D12. That gives 620.75, right? Now, let me make it clear. Let me double click this one. If you're curious how to see the entire column that was selected, just double click that. And you would notice that this one shows you the function and the arguments inside, which is D4 to D12. So those are the values that you're actually adding. Press escape to go out. If you don't, let me do that again. If I double click this and let's say you're done and you're moving forward, you click somewhere else, then it will also do the same, right? Now here I have hourly pay rate from Joanne, which is E4, all the way here into E12. Those are their hourly rate, should I say, excuse me. I don't have to get the summation for that. Now, so I have the gross pay. Now, most of you are working, and you can see on the formula in here, I'm going to double click this so that the formula is bigger and you can see what are the cells that are being highlighted in here. Excuse me. So formula is equal sign D4 times E4. That means I am multiplying 64.25 times the hourly pay rate of that person, Joanne, which is 19.75. What I like about Excel is it's color coded. So every single cell that you're actually highlighting or you're typing or you're clicking is going to give you a color that represents that value. So you would know if you're doing it right. So I am not just pertaining to 64.25, but the cell address of that is D4. So every formula again starts with an equal sign. So that's equal sign D4 times E4. You can click or you can actually type it in, right? But you know that your software is very particular. So if it says that you need to click, just follow along, right? What's important is you understood what is the formula behind and why did it produce, let me press enter, why did it produce 1268.94, right? Now, let's say, for example, these values are not here. I'm going to delete that. And you can tell that for the rest of the columns, they are incorrect now because I deleted the data. So a couple of things in here. When you have a formula at the very top, okay, you can just, if you're going to be a little bit more adventurous when it comes to your worksheet that you're working with, you can actually copy the formula column by column, which means if I have this gross pay in here and this data are complete, all I needed to do is to point at the bottom right that shows you the fill handle, which is a cross black arrow without arrowheads. They're very small. It's on the right side. And as you can remember before when I demoed in class, that Microsoft Excel has a lot of cursor view. And wrong choice of a cursor view or a mouse pointer will definitely give you the wrong output. So if you click that, so if you can see on my screen, click and drag down until here in the last employee, it will give you that desired output. So if you are here in the second one, notice on the first, let me double click. You have equal sign D4 equals E4. On the second, you have equal sign D5 times E5. Why did it give you equal sign D5 times E5 right away? You did not create that formula, but you actually copied that formula from the first one, but it automatically adjusted the cells instead of D4. Remember, it was D4 times E4. Now it's D5 times E5. That is what you call relative referencing. So all of those formula that you have, when you copy it, it's going to relatively copy it for the other cells that you have in your worksheet. So that's what's good about Excel. It makes things a lot easier if your formula on the first one is correct. If the first formula is wrong, then that is a problem. So you have to double check your formula before copying because it's just going to produce you the incorrect data or the incorrect output. So if you have equal sign D5 times E5 in here, um, this one, double click, I have D6 times E6, right? So that's what it gave me. On the bottom, it should be summation, which is equal sign, excuse me, All right, going back. Sorry for that. That's equal sign sum F4 to F12. So I'm going to get the summation from the entire cell. Okay? You can get the summation by where? This one, the auto sum, and you can select the sum in there. Okay? This will automatically add up. Your total will appear after the selected cells, as you can see on the tooltip. However, be very careful that you cannot use those automatic summation if your data will be placed into another cell. So keep that in mind. If you just click auto sum, your output will be different. You have to understand what are the cells that you needed to do. So for federal tax, your formula is this one. The 0.22 or 0.22 is actually given from your book. So you have to double check that. This is not just any number, but it's actually given. And you need to multiply that to set of data that you needed to perform first. So backtrack. Every single formula, if you have a complex one, as you can see on my screen, let me double click so you can see it bigger. There is a set of cells that is inside the parentheses. So it's important that you have grouping so that Excel will be able to identify which is the highest precedence, which obviously is parentheses. So the first thing in here that will be performed in this parentheses, C4, right? If you can tell that the red one in here times 24.32. Okay, those data in here are actually mentioned from the instruction from your book, but I just want to expand what it means, right? I'm going to perform this multiplication. Whatever the product of this, it will be subtracted from the gross pay of Joanne Bennett, which is F4. So this part should be performed first, and then whatever the answer will be multiplied to 0.22. Okay, so just a little bit refresh on that hierarchy of operation. And there's a separate video for that. Please check out your tutorials on the top of your top folder of your unit 7. And it says there tutorials, videos, and you will find this section, which expands hierarchy of operation. Okay, so same thing. I was able to copy the formula, and I actually just use an autofill for that. There you go. Okay, and then this one is a summation. Same goes to this. Formula is 0.04 times F4. The 0.04 is actually given. The F4 is actually the gross pay. There you go. All right. So as you can tell, this one in here will produce you the following data. On the bottom, you would also have the summation for tax percent. So you can see there's grouping in here. I needed to add first federal tax and state tax before actually dividing it to gross pay. Okay, and this one is on a percent or percentage number format. Okay, and then at the bottom you would see 25.53. For net pay, let's talk about net pay. This is the formula for that. I am going to add first my federal tax and state tax. Whatever the result of that will be deducted from F4, which is gross pay. Okay, so hierarchy of operation. Next, you have your hire date in here, which gives you the number format of date. So just in case you change that to number, look at that. It's going to produce you a weird output. So just keep that in mind. You need to select the correct, there you go, data format. Okay, so let's do some of the functions in here at the bottom. This one is equal sign max. That means I need to determine which one is the highest from C4 to C12. This one is very easy in such a way that I only have a couple of employees. So I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, right? But what if you have 100 employees? It makes it harder for you to know which one or who among your employees got the highest number of dependents. You're not going to do that manually, right? So this one is an obvious answer because you can tell that 3 in here is the highest. And we were able to do that by what? Equal sign max, C4 colon C12, right? So who got the least number of dependents? We have 0. Celine, who else? Faye and James. So those zeros are actually the lowest. For the average, I would like to get the average by equal sign average C4 colon C12. Now, let me delete that just for you to see. If I click this auto sum and I select average, look what happens. This is what I'm telling you before class, that if you just rely on the automatic selection of those functions at the top, the tendency is it will just select the nearest cells, either on the top, on the side of that specific function. And you can tell that C4 colon C15 is not the range of cells that we want to compute. So be very careful with that. It's important that they understood what cells should be included. And if I press enter, there you go, it will just give me an average of 1.5. But it actually gave me that result from this too. That's the one that I computed for the average. So this is wrong. So this one is actually, again, average. Doesn't matter if it's uppercase or lowercase. I would like to start with C4 colon, not C4 in there, but until, ooh, all right, there's a problem because I clicked that. I'm going to click OK. So this one is C12. There you go. Close parentheses. And you can see that it selected those column. Okay. I'm going to press enter. There you go. I got 1.2222 and so forth. Now, for this one, I can, let's say I remove this. I'm just going to remove those section. And you can tell that if I copy this, I drag it to the right. Did I even get the right answer? Hold on. Let me undo. Yeah, correct. 1372. Yeah. So you can autofill. You have this one. You can select and stretch it on the side. So it will determine per column. Excuse me. And this one as well. So I use the fill handle to basically copy all the formulas on the right side. All right. So I think that's something very important to consider. And I hope you find this demonstration useful and you can watch it over and over again. As a final reminder that follow the due dates indicated for each unit. When you actually click that link, every single unit or folder, before even clicking it, you will see the due dates indicated for each section. Okay? I will see you on the next demonstration. You have a wonderful weekend. Bye.